Tango can give us this illusion of amazing connection with somebody, this instant amazing connection with somebody, that we go in the dance floor, we spend 10 minutes together, and it feels like that we know each other for years. But do we really? Are we friends? In the end of the night, we may go home alone, and we may go home feeling lonely. How is it to develop actual friendships in Tango, and what is the difficulty that we have in developing those relationships in Tango? In this video, I'm going to explore how you can actually make friends in Tango. Welcome to Goodnight Tango. I'm Christos, I'm dancing Tango for 9 years now, and for the last 4 years, I'm also writing about that in my blog. Before we dive into why is it difficult to develop friendships in Tango, and then explore how you can actually make friends in Tango, it's important to understand a few things about friendship because it somehow helps us understand the difficulties and the actual points that we will see later on. First of all, we need to understand that our minds are developed and have the capacity to handle a specific limit of people that we can consider friends. Based on research, we can handle about 5 people, up to 5 people as very, very close friends. Then the next 15 to 50 people are good friends and best friends that we have in our circle. And then the circle expands to about 150 people that we can call friends. So when you go into Tango and you expect to find friends and you want to develop friendships, don't expect that you will be able to handle many connections, many friends. Expect that you can maybe find a couple of people that you will eventually call them very, very close friends, and also expand the social circle that you have in terms of friends. But don't expect that you enter Tango and immediately you become friends with everybody in the community, and from being alone and lonely, you will start getting thousands of people in friendships. That might happen only in Facebook, but not in real friendships in reality. Now, the good news with Tango is that it gives you 2 of the 3 elements that you need in order to develop a relationship, in order to develop a friendship in general. The first one is the proximity. When you start Tango and you take classes, you are close with people, so you are in close proximity with people. So you see each other and you meet each other. And the next one is the repeated exposure. So you see each other many times, again and again. It's easy to develop friendships when you are in school as a kid, just because you visit the school every day, you see the same people again and again, the same kids again and again, and gradually you become friends. But the third element that we have in order to develop friendships in Tango is something that maybe we miss, maybe we underestimate, maybe we don't pay so much attention to that, and that is what is called reciprocated disclosure. That is, I would say, the curiosity to find out something about somebody else and the openness to share something about yourself. It starts like asking the names of people around you. It starts by asking what they do for job, if they have a family, caring to learn about their personal life and being open to share your own personal life. Okay, this builds trust gradually, and this is what helps in connecting with people and building a closer relationship that becomes a friendship at some point. So another element that is also crucial to understand is the amount of time that you need in order to develop a friendship. Based on research, it is found that if you spend about 50 hours with somebody, you can call them casual friends. You can be casual friends. They enter your casual friends circle. If this amount of time goes up to 90 hours, more than 90 hours with somebody, then they become what you can call friends. Okay. And later on, if you spend 200 hours with somebody, they become close friends. So if you want to develop a close friendship with somebody, you need 200 hours with them at least, even more sometimes, of being together and sharing and, having this interaction with each other. Now, that is one of the elements that is creating the first difficulty in order to form relationships in Tango. The idea that we have to have time together with people in order to develop a relationship, a friendship in Tango, can easily be overestimated in terms of the time that we spend together with people in Tango. The fact that you visit a milonga and you spend 3 hours together with other people in Tango doesn't really mean that these are hours that count toward developing a friendship, right? Because you might go to a milonga and you might don't really spend time with other people. It's also the reciprocated the disclosure part that we said before. So if you just go to the milonga and you just dance and you don't really share some information and you don't communicate with other people too much, it's very hard to develop, a friendship or a relationship with anybody. I remember myself when I visited Germany, when I started working in Germany, I was supposed to be here only for 9 months. And I said, okay, I will be only for 9 months here. Doesn't really make sense to develop any friendship or any connections in Tango. I was going to milongas and I was just dancing. Yes, I was exchanging some, chit chat during the tanda. How do you do? How was your day? Things like that between the songs. But that was all. And I didn't really care to know much about the people that I was dancing with because I didn't really wanted to invest this time to have friendships. I knew that I had only a limited time frame. The more I realized that I would be here and I would stay here in Germany, the more I started being open to share information about myself, being curious to understand and learn about other people. And this is how gradually I started developing friendships and connections and relationships with Tango in the community here in Germany. Finally, one of the other problems that is a barrier in terms of Tango in developing friendships is the social dynamics and the etiquette in Tango. Sometimes, for example, I might be reluctant to go next to a lady and start chatting with her because she might think that I want to dance with her and I'm chatting my way into a tanda, which I don't want it to look like this. And many people are thinking like this, and they are avoiding this kind of connection outside of the dance floor, just because they don't want to seem like that they are forcing the other person into a dance. I think we need to start seeing this a little bit different and disconnect this kind of notion of forcing somebody through chat to dance with us. Maybe you can just chat with them and then tell them, okay, start looking for somebody else to dance, so that you indicate that I'm not interested to chat with you just because I want to dance with you. I'm just interested to learn about you. The other thing is also the social dynamics that play a role in this. You might think that if I'm dancing, or people might think that if somebody talks to somebody who is a better dancer, they're doing this because they want to get something from them, like, for example, get help or get introduced to another dancer or things like that. And this is kind of a transactional element in the relationship between the two people. And the transactional element in relationships, in friendships, is something that can really lead to big troubles and toxic relationships. So it's something that you want to avoid. So this kind of etiquette and this kind of social dynamics that we have in Tango, yes, I understand that it is a barrier sometimes to develop easily connections with people that you might be interested with, but it is what it is, and you have to navigate it. We have to navigate it, and we have to maybe be more intentional, more clear when we approach people and when we chat with people, that, it's just that we are here together and let's have a conversation, let's chat about something. It's not something that necessarily means that I want something in the dance about that. So having seen the difficulties around developing friendships in Tango and approaching and developing connections and friendships in Tango off the dance floor, not in the dance floor, let's see some practical tips about how to find friends, how to develop friendships in Tango. The first thing, as I already hinted to, is you need to invest time not just in the dance, but in off the dance floor interactions, off the dance floor connections. You need to, invest time in this kind of reciprocated disclosure, in this kind of exchange of information, this curiosity about other people, and this openness from your side. So when you go to a milonga and you sit out for one tango or two, make it an effort maybe to chat with somebody. Okay, you don't need, that is a second point that I want to make. You don't need to be, pressed about it. You don't need to press it out. Maybe you can just sit next to a person, ask them how they're doing, how is their life, how was their day, whatever. Have a conversation, a small conversation, and it will maybe lead to more interactions or not. You don't need to press it. You can just sit next to them and have a couple of minutes of conversation, and maybe then relax and enjoy the rest of the tanda by looking at the dance floor, commenting maybe something from the dance floor. Just be relaxed and don't really press yourself to have this kind of interaction. Even being on the same space with somebody, close to somebody, sitting next to somebody, is enough to maybe start something and develop this kind of connection. Now, I understand that for men, for shy men like me, it might be even more difficult to start conversations out of the blue. That's why I say, okay, don't really press it. But something else that helps a lot is to focus on the activity, to focus on tango itself. Make sure that you love tango, because if you love it, if you are obsessed with it, in the end, you will find many more opportunities to connect with people, because this is the common ground that you build, and this is the common ground based on which you can start a conversation and you can connect with other people. So the more you love tango, the more opportunities, the more context you have in order to connect with other people. From then on, having tango as the core of the interaction, you can start expanding the connections to outer levels. What I mean by this is that, for example, in the beginning, you might send a text to somebody and ask them, are you going to be in the milonga? I will be here. Arrange to go with somebody or to meet with somebody in the milonga to be sure that they are going to be there. And gradually, then you can maybe arrange to go together to the milonga, drive together if you are sharing cars, if you are carpooling, or if you're living nearby, you can maybe go together by public transportation or things like that. That helps in having this off the dance floor time before or after the milonga, that you can connect and have some chat and learn and be curious about other people, and also allow other people to discover you. The next advice is something that I already mentioned before, is to be patient. Friendships, as we already understood, is not something that you build from one day to another. It takes time. Sometimes it might take years. So don't be impatient. Don't rush it. Don't go to people around in the milongas and, dump your whole life just to have more of this disclosure time with somebody. It takes two to have this kind of interaction. You share something, they share something. It's like tango. It's not something that happens just from your side. You need to have something back from the other person in order to start building on the friendship. You don't build the friendship alone. You build the friendship with somebody else. So you need this kind of reciprocated disclosure, as we say, from you, from them, in order to start developing this friendship building in the end. And this will probably take time. So rushing it will probably make the other person feel strange, awkward, and maybe they will distance themselves from you. So just keep it casual, and slowly it will come to a closer connection. Finally, an advice for not destroying the friendships that you are going to build is to never compare yourself with your friends, and don't have this kind of scorecard or transactional element in your dances. If you develop friendships, especially with people of the opposite sex, for example, opposite gender, for example, or the opposite role, and there is this kind of transactional element of we are friends and we should be dancing together and you should dance with me, and this kind of expectations, this is not really a good foundation for developing the friendship. Make sure that the more that you progress and the more the other person maybe progresses, if they're progressing faster than you or if you are progressing faster than them, you drop this kind of scorecard of, you did that for me, I need to do that for you, and have this kind of game that you try to understand how much they did for you and how much you did for them, because this in the end will lead to a toxic relationship and not just a real friendship with somebody. Sometimes you will do more for them, sometimes they will do more for you, sometimes you will do more for them in Tango, sometimes they will do more for you somewhere else, in some other areas in your life. So don't expect to have this kind of scorecard where you have to have an even score between you and your friends. This is general rule about friendships, but in Tango, given these dynamics that we have with the tandas and how much we dance, and it is easy to compare yourself with other people, with other dancers. And if you start doing that with your friends, it's a recipe for distraction. It's a recipe for disaster, and it's a recipe for staying alone and lonely in the end. So here we are. Connection on the dance floor is beautiful and amazing, and we all want that. But connection off the dance floor is something that we never really think about, but it's something that will keep us coming back again and again. The people that you connect with in Tango, the friendships that you develop in Tango, are the people that will help you to get back when you have some problems, or the people that will help you in your life in other areas. So make sure to invest your time and develop those friendships out of the dance floor. So I hope you found the video helpful and the advice that I shared helpful, and you build more friendships off the dance floor. And if you want to know how Tango can help you if you're a lonely person, this video over here tells my story about that. Check it out and don't forget to move forward both in the dance floor and in your life. Bye!